Hello and welcome back to the Realistic Formula Championship for round 7 of the season. 2 races to go before the season break, and we're at the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. And qualifying looks dry at the moment, looks dry throughout. Probably going to need to set up some names because, of course, some people have different names that I haven't had before, but once I've done that, we'll be underway. Everyone has to change their name just to keep me on my toes. That's Daniel fixed. Need to fix Alex Mills as well. And also need to fix Robin and Hubfoot there. Robin's name is in here, but it's something to do with the brackets. Yep. Just copy and paste over. Hang on a minute. All right, I put Alex Mills, his name, in Robin's box. Change to just starting up. This is Hubfoot here. I need to actually have a little look. I think it's Polish. Their name is, and they've immediately gone to the top of the times because they're the first one to do a lap. Sorry about this. One more name to go. Very painstaking process. Hubert Janinkovsky. Right, there we are. So we have the Ferrari of Robin on his way. There we go, we can finally get the lap timer in use. And around Stavolo down on the run towards Blanchmont, second up. And Janinkovsky. Into the bus stop chicane, right over the curbs. Setting up for the run to the line, and it's the top time by 1.1 seconds. Aidan Jones down towards the bus stop. A little bit of traffic from the Williams. I want to say Bradley, as Jones goes to the top of the times. Yep, this is Malachi who's crossed the line. The other Williams, as Simon goes into second place. Alex Mills to start a lap. Nisev on his way towards the end of the lap. Ruben Parker saying that it's a wet race in the chat, so that will make things interesting. As Nisev down into the bus stop. Over the right and left. A little bit of problems on traction. but still goes 6/10 quicker than Jones. It's a good place to be. Dropix has gone into 5th, as this is Ruben Parker now in the McLaren. No Elyas, the championship leader, not racing today. And Parker across the line 1.4 seconds down on Nisev so far. This is Adam now. Into the Fania chicane. I think he's backed out of this lap actually. Because he's got a full ERS charge. So to find someone else that we can maybe have a look at, maybe Alex Mills on his way down towards... Oh, he's left. As soon as I started watching, he's gone. So this is Joseph Beatnik, who has had some great performances so far this season, getting in the points. And Sauber deploying the slipstream tactic with Senor Ghosts, giving the tow all the way down the Camel Straight into the Lecomte chicane. And that's allowed Beatnik to get within 0.08 of a second of Nisev's first sector time, but time will probably fall away later in the lap. But good place to start with. Good starting point for a good first sector in the bank. And then this is where the Sauber will struggle through the middle sector. Spa very much a track, very mixed in terms of what downforce package you could use. You could be really quick in sector 2, but without the straight line speed, you're either you're just not going to be able to overtake anyone. So it's a gamble. Beatnik 1.2 seconds down on Nisev, but that would put him around 5th place if he keeps this going, but he'll probably lose a little bit more in the final sector maybe. But maybe the straight line speed's going to carry him through Longchamont, flat out. Braking point for the bus stop, very late on the brakes. Bit of correction on the second part of the bus stop and across the line to go into top 8. Big lap time disparities right now across the grid. I'm sure as we get to the end of Q1, we'll start to see things a little bit converge a little bit more. Everyone needs a lap. Adam here backs out of another lap. Maybe definitely went for another one, I think, but decided it wasn't good enough, obviously. And now this is Dylan to the end of the first sector. How does it compare to Nisev? It's a 10th down, so slower than Beatnik was. But now this is where the grip of the McLaren could really come into play. He's got the Salmers up the road of Beatnik and Ghost. Ghost now doing a push lap as well, 30.9 in the first sector. Dylan is a 30.5, so Ghost quite a bit slower in the first sector compared to Beatnik. That difference in setup, I think it is. Beatnik 350 kilometers an hour. That's the top speed in the lap. And Senor Ghost only 337 kilometers per hour, so big disparity. And Dylan now into Stavolo and on through the curve Paul Frere. 4/10 down on Nisev. Nisev with the ultimate speed so far in this qualifying session. And well, he's comfortably safe already. Looking at how everyone else is getting on. Down towards the bus stop. Let's see the placement of the car. Doesn't have really any big moment there. And cuts the beam and is into the top 3. This is Daniel. Top 6. Malachi starts the lap. Anyone else in the middle of a lap? Don't think so. Maybe Edwards. No, Edward has backed out from where he was. Wave is forward here. It is Edward, actually. He was on a lap. And he goes ahead of Dylan by a millisecond. So great lap there by Edward, who of course won in Austria a few rounds ago. Malachi through the first sector is improving. Aidan Jones retiring from the session, thinking his lap time is strong enough to get through. Malachi a little bit wide at the no-name corner. Down to Puon. Keeps it flat, keeps it pinned. Maybe scrubbed off a little bit of speed there, I think. Let's see how it compares to Nisev. Currently down in P15, Malachi. 1.7 seconds down. He is improving his own personal best by about half a second. Bradley getting out of the way. Slight bit of locking into the bus stop. And he stays in 15th. Still the driver at risk as Bryn Evans makes his way into the bus stop. Currently in the elimination zone, but hasn't done a representative lap. And here he goes. Top 5. Gets to within a tenth of his teammate. Wave 1.3 seconds up on the time he needs to beat to get out of the bottom 4. Don't know if there is a Ferrari. I'll check in a bit if someone's going to join to make it a full grid. That would be nice. But here goes Wave, straightening it up and goes into P2, just ahead of his teammate Jones. It's a great effort. I don't think Adam's pushing again, so don't quite know what's going on there. Another lap he's backed out of. Now we get down to the final moments of qualifying. And it's Daninkowski here. I think pushing on a lap. Yep, indeed. Alex Mills is out there as well, just behind. Needs a lap. This will be his only lap in this qualifying session. Daninkowski's not done a representative lap so far. So this is the one that's going to need to count. How's it compared to the Sauber of Beatnik? Slightly slower, but the time gained and lost is mostly found in the middle sector. Nicely runs it out to the gravel through no name and keeps it flat in Puon, but runs a little bit wide. Gets onto the curb and invalidates the lap. That is really not ideal then. I'm not sure if he's got enough fuel to get back around again, as Adam has gone quickest in the first sector in the Racing Bulls. Is he winding up finally for a good push lap? As for some reason Alex Mills' name has not fixed itself and he is lagging all over the road. Blanchemont is up on Beatnik. Gets it slowed down for the bus stop. Doesn't really use the curb on the inside of the first part. And to the line, Alex Mills gets himself safe, I think. Daninkowski needs to get another lap on the board as his teammate Adam on the way finally with a representative lap. Hooks it into the bus stop. Aggressive steering we normally see from Trixie in the same car. And Adam does get himself into the top 9. A good effort at the end. Beatnik now on the other side of the circuit. How is it comparing to Rambo? It is a green first sector, which is what he needs. But how is the middle sector? 3/10 up on Rambo. This is looking like what Beatnik requires. How's Ghosts getting on behind? Ghosts is cold-tense slower in the first sector, but we saw that before. And then by the end of the lap he was quicker. Middle sector from Ghosts. He's about 3/10 quicker than Beatnik. We can see the differences in setups from the Sauber drivers and Beatnik over both parts of the bus stop and gunning it for the line. And at the moment is into the second part of qualifying. But now Senior Ghosts hasn't had a personal best in the middle sector, but might still find time yet. And crosses the line in a few moments' time and misses out on getting into Q2. What about the Racing Bulls of Duninkovsky? Duninkovsky looking to knock Dropux out of qualifying here, but can't. What about Parker? Parker just wanting to make sure he's safe. I think he is safe now regardless. Goes up a couple of positions as Rambo looking to knock Dropux out, and does. There we are then for the first part of qualifying, and it is Dropux, Ghosts, Duninkovsky and Malachi who are eliminated in this part of qualifying. Sauber getting one car through, Williams getting one car through, and the two teams in financial difficulty right now. And they will be looking to improve things in the coming races. And there we go. There we see the results. Plus the sectors. I'm going to quickly fix Alex Mills' name again. I don't know why it's broken. Welcome back to qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix here at the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Q1 has been done, and now it's time for Q2. and for drivers to be in it when it counts for pole position, and already a stream of cars going out there. Everyone out on the track apart from Dylan. Dylan, I think, just leaving the pits. And then we will have all 15 remaining drivers out there and ready to try and get through. Rain in the race as well, so keep tuned in. No rain in qualifying then. So, well, we found Wave here at the front. Why is Simon in the Red Bull? Simon doesn't even know that Simon is in the Red Bull. Simon didn't even hire anyone. Oh. Yeah, Simon's in control of Div 1, I think. So, right? I think he is. I think it's Div 2 that Piggy's in charge of. So, yeah, Jones now. We're watching at the front of the queue. Yeah, well, there was no Red Bull reserve, so Simon wanted to drive, so Simon is in. And, well, Jones into the Lecomte chicane. 30.4 in the first sector. Evans 30.6, Wave 30.8. So Jones sector 1 stacking up quite well for the moment. Nisev doesn't beat it. Robin doesn't beat it. Simon doesn't beat it. Simon gets the closest though with a 30.4. Adam though beats it with a 30.4 as well, but slightly quicker in the hundredths and thousandths columns. Into the Fania chicane. Jones keeping the minimum speed up. Rolling it through. Now this is the run through the curve for Frere. And then Blanchimont. Flat out though all the way. Even in the wet it might be flat out for the most part. Especially if it enters. In these modern day Formula 1 cars. Down to the bus stop. On the anchors. Now keep up the momentum to get the drive to the line. And it's 41.7 for Jones as Evans slots in to second place. And Nisev then slots into second place, just 22 milliseconds behind. Robin goes up to fourth as Simon has crossed the line in third. Adam has invalidated. Big moment for Edward coming out of the final corner. Manages to catch it, but it's below Evans for the moment. A couple tenths behind. Parker goes in fifth. And we have Beatnik just starting a lap, but Alex Mills charging for the line. Is ahead of two drivers who have set a lap. And behind six of them. And finds himself in seventh place. About Dylan, Rambo, I think. Crossing the line, goes into fourth. This is Dylan. It's a second away. McLaren not on the pace so far. With both of their drivers. Parker struggling down towards the bottom half in Q1. And here in Q2. It's a similar story so far. Beatnik now in amongst all the traffic, trying to dive his way through. But I don't think he's pushing. He's not. Wave there into the gravel as Bradley's starting a lap. I think Bradley might be one to watch. Seems like he's pushing on. It's from wing damage though, actually. And he's not pushing. So maybe Beatnik will go again. Not sure, no, he's not got fuel, so that's it for all of these drivers, I think. Wave invalid. So first runs in Q2 complete. And it's Jones at the top of the times. But with newer tyres compared to Nisev. And this has 16% average tyre wear. And Jones, we switched to him. You see they're brand new tyres. But anyway, everyone now going into the pits. Very long lap, of course, at Spa. Alex Mills has once again left the session. Already going to ruin his name being set up again. So, those are the names. Don't know who people are. I think Simon here, going for another lap on the same tyres and going purple in the first sector. Through No Name, keeps it within track limits really nicely. And Pouon, flat out, bounces a little bit off the curb, but it's all okay. Keeps his foot pinned. Now very fast chicane. And then Orson get a really good exit. Don't go into the gravel, as Kimi Antonelli did in real life, I believe. And Simon doesn't here, and Simon is improving. Very marginally on his own personal best. This could get him safe. I mean, I think his original lap still looks to be safe. Mills joining back again, Aidan Jones deciding he's through, Simon having a bit of a scruffy chicane and doesn't improve in the end. This was stop as a moment he needs to catch. It wasn't all too bad because he's still got a lap on the board from before. And now it's going to be beat next time to see what he can do. Used tyres though. But I'm not entirely sure how many tyres he used in Q1 as well. To get a lap out of that Sauber is not easy. We did see Ellin reach the front row in Division 3, but obviously that is more a thing to do with the division placements and not... You know, obviously you still need to do well to get a lap out of the car, but if you're that much quicker than the other drivers in the division, that pace gap's just going to naturally mean you can get closer in a slower car. Here we see Beatnik. And is ahead of Evans so far on the lap. Use a lot of the curve through the Lecomte chicane. Trying to extract every little bit that he can. Downhill right-hander. Malachi leaving the session. Might need another invite. How does it go through Pouon? All the understeer. You can feel him getting washed out, but he does keep it within track limits. Tries to throw it in. It doesn't quite grip up. Getting on the throttle early to get the run. And a 10th down on Evans so far. So it doesn't look like this lap's going to be the one to get into Q3. But he just wants to be as high up on the grid as he can. It's going to be difficult to get Q3 in the Sauber. And these are used tyres, remember. Bus stop. And he goes into the box, which is unsurprising because the lap wasn't quite there in terms of getting into Q3, so he might as well go again on the new tyres, because he was on the used tyres there, and wave purple in the middle sector. 30.7. Bradley, though, also on a lap, 30.4. Straight line speed difference, though, of course. And wave out of the bus stop. and goes into P3. 34 milliseconds behind his teammate Jones, as Bradley, to the end of the middle sector, loses about half a second to Wave, that did gain 3/10 in the first sector, so only 2/10 down on Wave's time through the first two sectors. You go like that, but how much time will he lose in the final sector? As Bradley up to that line and is into the top 5, so an excellent lap for the Williams. And he decides that he is safe with that lap, I guess, by retiring on the track, I think. But yeah, I used to think that Edward goes into gravel there a bit. I used to think that means you can't get into the next part of qualifying, but I don't think it does. So he'll be fine. So Edward didn't have best outlap preparation by going into the gravel, but maybe just try and push the limits, see where he can get to. And here we go, you see that wide line being taken out of the bus stop. And Edward now barreling down towards La Source. The Ferrari of Robin is the target, currently down in P10 after finishing second at Silverstone. Last time out to the dominant championship leader Elyas, who did have a 3-second penalty. Slipstream being taken from Parker, I think, and Isham uses it. Through Malmedy, and now attacking the downhill right-hander, runs in a bit wide, but he'll get good drive. A bit wide again though, maybe through No Name. Keeps it pinned through Puon. And Isham needing to find every little bit that he can, as the Aston Martin is, I mean, it's a better car than some, but it's still not a guaranteed Q3 car, that is for sure. But there we go, 9/10 up on the Ferrari. And Isham now on his way. Green sectors being displayed by Adam and Dylan and Alex Mills as well. Everyone displaying good sector times as the Ferrari of Robin responds with a purple sector 1, needing it because Edward Isham is about to knock him out of the top 10, and indeed that is what has happened. Alex Mills on his way, finding time, needs to find time, only outside of the top 10 by about a 10th at the moment, less than a 10th, but still needs to get there. Was race banned, of course, for Silverstone after the collision with Rio Harris, but now he's back racing for Alpine. He's raced for Mercedes already this season, raced for McLaren, Racing Bulls, Red Bull, Mercedes last season as well, goes into the top 8 as Dylan goes to the top of the times, finally displaying some of that McLaren pace. Adam now into the bus stop, chicane, doesn't have a lap on the board, and will the lap be good enough? It's going to be close, gets into the top 10 for the moment, but the Ferrari of Robin then goes into the top 5 and knocks the Racing Bulls out. What about Simon here? Simon is on another lap, I think. I don't think he needs one, but we'll just get one to be safe. And Simon charging for the line. Bryn Evans is there as well to finish his lap. Simon goes quickest. Bryn Evans into the top 7. That pushes Alex Mills down into 11th place. But what about now Daniel? Daniel invalid. What about Beatnik? How quick is Beatnik on this lap? Parker currently down in 14th as well, running towards the bus stop. Beatnik to the line, misses out by about a 10th and a little bit. What about Parker though? Parker really needs to find time. Driving for McLaren this week at Spa. Can Parker make Q3? He does, into 8th, and that knocks Edward Isham out of qualifying. The race winner from Austria now eliminated here in the second part of qualifying, and the time just wasn't quite there for the Aston Martin. I think Rambo crossed the line quite late, but already was through. He's in 8th. Bradley makes it through in 10th place. Great performance for the Williams team so far. In terms of Bradley's position, they need to keep that up as we head towards Q3 in the race. Alex Mills being knocked out by just over a tenth of a second. Beatnik with another good performance. Seems to be able to just get that close, but the ultimate lap time just isn't quite there in the car itself. Well, we're done for Q2. Welcome back to qualifying at Spa. Reports from Joseph Beatnik that he broke too late for the bus stop chicane and that Q3 was on the table, but yeah, that's what the Sauber does. Mistake in one corner, and any chance of getting that lap time is just totally gone. Nothing in hand. And now it's time for Q3, and both Mercedes out first once again. This time it's going to be Wave going ahead on the outlap, it seems. New soft tyres for them, I think. Yeah, both Mercedes on new soft tyres. Bryn Evans on new soft tyres. Bradley and Nisev also on new soft tyres. Ruben Parker, Rambo and Simon, they're on the used tyres, so they are not going to be maybe setting their ultimate pace from the start, but just getting a feeler for the track conditions maybe. Robin staying in the pits for the time being, so might be doing one run towards the end of the session, or maybe a lap at the middle point of the session maybe, of the tractor himself, but it'd probably be going for the end of the session, I would imagine. Well, Aidan Jones dropped back quite a lot on this outlap, trying to keep his tyres, I guess, in the right condition. Wave's going to be out there first. Here we go then for Q3, down to La Source, riding on board with the Mercedes of Wave. It's a clean exit. That's what we need. Down towards Eau Rouge. And up to the top of Radion. You can see just how fast that section is. And also the rise. Incredibly steep as well. especially when you see it from photos there, not just from the broadcast pictures. And so far it's Bradley with the purple sector 1. But Williams of Bradley has been the quickest in the first sector throughout many of the laps so far. Wave into the gravel on the extra no name. Downshift through Pouon. Tries to open up the track. Into the final chicane. And now, here we go. Exit required, doesn't get into gravel this time, which is crucial. It almost goes into the gravel on the exit there. And has to catch the car, so that's not going to be ideal for Wave. But Wave 7/10 quicker than Bradley in the middle sector. Jones slightly down on Wave in the middle, but quicker in the first by a couple tenths. As Wave tries to get it stopped for the bus stop. What is the first lap going to be? It's a 41.9, so not the quickest laps so far that we've seen. Bradley into second with 2 purple sectors, as it is going to be Simon actually. Crosses the line into third. Jones goes to the top with a 41.4. Evans onto the second row as it stands. But then it is going to be the McLaren of Parker. Parker still a little bit away from the pace. Nisev next. Nisev over the beam. And it goes to the top with a 41.2. What about Rambo, who's shown good pace so far? Top 7. And Dylan, who did pop himself to the top of the times in Q2, but is invalid on his lap. Now Robin going out there to have a lap by himself, I guess. New tyres for the Ferrari man, who drove for McLaren in Silverstone. And we're going to see a whole lap, I guess, with the Ferrari down towards turn number 1, La Source. Important to really set up this exit, because this is just considered one flat out section now. Lovely pictures of the Ferrari down towards the Lecomte chicane. And it is a purple sector 1. We saw purple sector 1 for Robin. I've not even been trying to say his last name because I know I'm just going to say it wrong. So it's Robin. And yeah, he did set a purple sector 1 in Q2. Gets a little bit beached on the curb though. Just about keeps it within track limits, but the run through there was not ideal. Keeps it flat through Pouon, of course. We've seen that from basically every driver we watched through there. A little bit wide of the second part of the chicane. And now into Stavelot, it's a little bit wide again. And he's lost quite a lot of time, and he might lose time all the way down the straight now, because that wasn't quite ideal. But the straight line speed of the Ferrari is excellent, of course. That can make up for it. We'll be looking to get into the top 5, I think, based on what we've seen so far on this lap. Bus stop chicane, corrects on the exit, gets a little bit more oversteer, and it does go into the top 5 come the end of the lap. And that might be it for Robin now. I think he's not got any fuel remaining. 0.2 laps, 0.7, something like that. So yeah, that will be that. Ruben Parker says in the chat, hope everyone else is on dry setups and not on wet. Yeah, that will be interesting to see, because some people are very quick on the straights, some people not so quick on the straights. And that will definitely be down to, as well as just a difference in preference, it'll be down to the weather conditions that we're expecting for the race. See wet from the start. Yellow flag out there, I think actually caused by the Ferrari of Robin. So a little bit of an adventure, where he had a bit of an adventure on his actual push lap. And validates through there, but I think this, I don't think he's going out again. I think that was just the plan to get a run in the middle of the session. But never know, could be surprised, but very long lap, of course. Yeah, big difference in the Sector 1 times, but then a lot of people then finding about 6/10 in the middle to those drivers, so see how it pays off in the race as well. Because of course, if you're out front, it's going to be difficult to overtake if you've got, you know, a low downforce setup applied. You see, it's going to be difficult to overtake someone with a low downforce setup, but if it's wet, if it's slippery, you want that extra downforce just to feel a little bit more confident in the car. Feel like you've got the car underneath you, with the confidence to attack the corners in those conditions. At least we're not going to be seeing any kind of cancelled race because of rain. At least that's not possible here. And well, Wave is going to be the first one to do a final run as well. Out very early compared to a lot of the other drivers. Might get a little bit of traffic, but might pick up a slipstream as well down the Camel Straight. Here he goes into the bus stop, on his way for the last 2 and a bit minutes of Q3. And here we go, a little bit of traffic coming out of the pits. Bradley in the Williams might get out of the way before Rouge, or might get out of the way on the Camel Straight, which might allow Wave to get a lovely slipstream here. He's going to close right up to the back of the Williams. And the Williams there just on the racing line, going to give an optimum tow to Wave as long as he gets out of the way. But he doesn't look like he's getting out of the way, and Wave's been hampered there for sure, and backs out of it. So Wave not happy with that, and then just crashes straight into the side of Bradley. Oh my word. Taking his anger out on the Williams driver. Was in the way in the Lecombe chicane, and well, just decided to use his car and park it right into the side of the Williams. And he gets himself a 5-place grid penalty, as you can see. But anyway, Simon now on his way. Wave has retired. Yet Bradley has wing damage now. Of course, Bradley shouldn't have really been there, but just because he blocked him doesn't mean that you have the right to just crash into the side of someone. And I imagine that Wave will probably get a harsher penalty. Well, definitely will, because you can't just use your car like that just because someone has impeded you. So Simon gets a little bit of grass on his tyres, but he's only just outside of Miss Ev's time. Everyone else just kind of going through to start their laps now. So Simon here shouldn't get hampered. Actually, Robin is actually out on another outlap, another new set of tyres. I think he's just going to be about to start his lap, as Simon's going to be finishing his lap. And there we go, checker flag's going to come in a few seconds time. Simon across the line, goes onto the front row. It's making a Red Bull front row lockout as it stands. But now we're going to see Dylan setting a purple Sector 2. And Dylan is coming alive in this qualifying session. We saw it in Q2. And now towards the end of Q3, checker flag now flies. And Dylan is on his way towards the bus stop chicane. And will it be close to the Red Bulls? Will it be quicker than the Red Bulls? Robin going quickly in Sector 1. Dylan across the line in a few seconds time and misses out on pole position. It's the front row for the moment. What about Aiden Jones? Aiden Jones in the Mercedes has shown great pace throughout qualifying and now doesn't find the personal best in the middle sector. But how is the lap looking? for Aidan Jones. We'll see into the bus stop chicane. He's still keeping his foot in the lap, not boxing. So will it be an improvement? It is, to third with a purple sector 3. Evans goes 5th with a great lap for him. Nisev, though, looking to stake a claim to stay on pole position. There's not many drivers who can deny him now. Can Nisev take it further away at the end? Yes, he can, and go a 10th.5 quicker than Dylan. What about Ruben Parker at the end? Goes into 8th. XR Rambo next across the line for Haas. Can he get ahead of Bradley at least? He gets ahead of Robin and Ruben Parker as well. What about Robin, though? Looking to respond at the end. Goes into the top 5 with his attempt at the end of the session. It's going to be Nisev on pole position here at Spa. And Nisev, from the early pace, was certainly up there on the pace charts in Q1 and has done it when it mattered in Q3. He would have had it anyway, I think, even without the improvement, but just got that improvement in just to be sure. Can never be too certain. And well, there we are. Wave, of course, with that 5-place grid penalty for taking out Bradley. And well, there we are for Q3 in Spa. Now it's time for a wet race. And the heavens have definitely opened now. Formation lap about to be underway, and we're about to see a mix of wet and intermediate tyres here at Spa. This is going to make things mightily interesting, as the weather conditions showing a storm for at least 15 minutes and then light rain coming towards the end of the race, but well, half the grid are on intermediate tyres there. So, well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers on the intermediate compound, and 12, well, not 12, 11 actually, because we haven't got a full grid. Ferrari, what are you playing at? And, well, the conditions for sure look to be for wet out there at the moment. We'll ride on board with Dylan. And, well, yep, there looks to be a storm at least for 15 minutes. But I know Andre can't actually hear what I'm saying. But, well, yeah, if this was real life, they're just going to wait till the track's basically dry, and then they're going to start on inters, and then it's going to be dried out within like 20 laps. But here, we're going racing in the full wet. And we're going to have a standing start as well. This is going to be tentative, though. Dylan might drop back early on. McLaren made another slight strategy blunder, or is it strategic masterclass? We'll only find out in the first corner, first lap, if the intermediates are going to work, or if they are not going to be viable. Wonder what the temperatures are like. The track certainly looks very damp. And Malachi's disconnected, so I don't know if he needs an invite or what. We might just throw him an invite if I can find him on this list. I don't know if I've gone past him or what's going on. Well, the race won't start until his car is on the grid, but if he says he's offline, then there he is. We'll send him an invite. I mean, it says he's offline, but we'll see what it says. Anyway, the Belgian Grand Prix is not very long away from starting. A long wait on the grid because Malachi is controlled by AI. And now, in the wet at Spa, we have 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights ahead of the drivers. It's lights out and away we go. Good start from Nisev. Tiptoeing away from the line is the McLaren of Dylan, who's going to send it up the inside. Contact between Bryn Evans and the other Red Bull of Simon. And they're still lagging as off goes the Alpine of Dropbox. I think maybe Alex Mills, actually, the one going off side by side through a Rouge. It is Nisev maintaining the lead, then sneaking through is Bryn Evans challenging Dylan here, and they're side by side down the Kemmel Straight. And Bryn Evans looking to dive up the inside. Dylan trying to hold it all the way around the outside. The Red Bull of Simon is wide. There's contact involving Bradley and Simon as Bryn Evans has made his way into second place. Down the inside goes the Ferrari of Robin. Can't quite make it on Aidan Jones. And they are tiptoeing through wide. The Sauber, lead Sauber of Beatnik it must be. And Nisev has maintained the lead on the opening lap. But this race is not really going to be decided for a very long time. Wide goes Simon again, and position swapped over. Daniel taking the place. Rambo looking to get through. Dropex getting involved. Down the inside goes Adam, looking to challenge Wave. Wave goes a bit wide. Wave all over the road. Ghosts goes through. Parker is challenging Bradley here, as there is a slight issue with the team logos, but down towards Blanchimont, this is sketchy, and there will still be challenges towards the bus stop. Ruben Parker looking to get a move on. The intermediate tyres don't seem too bad at the moment, and is Parker going to send one to the inside late on the brakes? Robin locks up a little bit, and he can't quite get the move there, just maintaining his current position. You want to stay alive in these conditions, as Bradley's pulling a little bit towards the inside. Looks like a battle going on. Dropbox sending one up the inside, making contact with Rambo. Might take the place on Adam, who went wide on the exit of turn 1. And now Ghost slipping through. Ghost into 13th. Adam now dropping down to 14th. And there's absolute chaos here on lap 2 of the Belgian Grand Prix, and there might still be more chaos down towards the Lecomte chicane. We have side by side Isham and Daniel. That seems to be a battle here. Isham round the outside, confident on the brakes, gets the maneuver done. And then further back, the battle still in rages, but no position swaps for the moment. Wave making a little bit of contact with the Racing Bulls. And then Adam sends one up the inside of Senor Ghosts. And that might set Senor offline, as Wave's looking to get through. Adam up the inside again, making contact and pushing Senor Ghosts wide, and Beatnik goes through. I think Parker has got past Robin as well while this is going on, as Adam goes a little bit wide, and Wave's trying to sneak up the inside. More contact with the Racing Bulls. Jones now being overtaken by Parker as well, but we're going to quickly swap back, and we're going to see Adam and Wave, and Adam's been all over the road. Bradley has now overtaken Robin as well. The wet tyres maybe not really working, matching what happens in real life, apart from in Las Vegas, in qualifying where the wet tyres were certainly ones to be on. At the start, down the inside, Isham takes a place on Robin. Robin gets a bit tagged. The Robin goes into the box. They're probably put on the intermediate compound. Fastest laps being set. And down to turn one again, but I think there's a little bit of a battle going on still towards the back of the midfield. And it's involving Wave, and once again Adam sends one up the inside and is way out of control and makes contact. Oh, there's more contact. More contact on the exit of the corner. And there's just chaos going on. And more chaos, actually, as here we go, Bradley, as Edward goes up the inside. Brilliant braking from Edward to get it slowed down. And just about gets through. What about Daniel, struggling for traction, but still going to send one up the inside, as up the inside goes Isham on Jones. And he's made it stick as well, as Bradley, there's a bit of lag, as don't know what happened there. Bradley is through on Daniel, but then gets all out of shape, and that gives the place back to the Haas car. Haven't had a break yet in this race, as there is Evans and Dylan going around the outside on the intermediate compound. Can he make the move? Not quite, as we're just going to quickly see this all out of control move from Adam, and then more contact just as the replay ends. But wow. Here goes Dylan. Evans closing into Nisev. We're only on lap 3. Evans runs wide, and that's going to allow Dylan to get the run. Not really, doesn't really have a lot of ERS, but he's still going to try and claim the inside for the second part of the bus stop. They're in. They're in. Both of the top two are going for the intermediate compound, and McLaren have made the right strategy. I questioned whether they got it right, but at the moment, running 1 and 2 in the race on the intermediate compound, and that is certainly the right tyre to be on, despite the stormy conditions. Isham up to third with some great moves. Bit of contact as well, but you can expect that in these conditions. Yellow flag at the bus stop. It's Adam again. He's in the pit wall. He's crashed at the pit exit, and he's retired right there. So that is interesting. As well, McLaren controlling this race now. They've got it in their hands. Staying out on the wet tyres at the moment, Simon and Rambo, but that doesn't seem to be quite working. Beatnik gaining at the moment. And this is great for them. Bit of wet weather bringing them into play in the race. And well, Evans down here in 12th after being up in 2nd. Right at the start of the race, the wet tyres initially offering more grip, but quickly, I know Malachi's been disconnected the whole time. He was already disconnected on the formation lap. It's fine. He's gone. Beatnik looking to get past Rambo. And you can see, just trying to work the car. The wet tyres probably maybe overheating a bit. Maybe just not having the grip. You can see the tyre wear for the wet tyre runners. They're burning them up. And now a great exit there compared to the Haas driver ahead. And wheel to wheel towards Blanchimont. Beatnik's going to go around the outside. Will Rambo try and hold it? I think he will, you know. And still side by side. Waves looking to get involved. But Rambo's still trying to hold on. Surely he's heading for the box. But it's going to be difficult to get to the box if he's overtaking the Sauber again. And he pushes the Sauber extremely wide. And then there's more contact with Wave. It's 3 wide. And Rambo hits the wall. A sandwich there on the main straight. And well, that has now led to Rambo dropping down to 10th at the moment, but that will be a lot lower once he inevitably boxes. And well, Simon is in. He's going for the inters as well. And now this is Nisev looking to gain on Wave. Wave, of course, with the 5-place penalty for crashing into Bradley in Q3 on purpose. And Nisev now, after just boxing, trying to get back up the order, but not quite able to make it there. But he's got a little bit more grip, I think, than Mercedes, who's struggling a little bit, trying to just offset Mercedes, making to try and make Wave going a bit deep. He's not quite taking the bait at the moment. And Evans here on the inside of the no-name corner. Brilliant racing action between Evans and Beatnik. And Evans has the inside line going into Pouhon. And Evans making his way back up the order. Now running in 8th. After pitting for the intermediate tyres because he started on the wet compound when it was a toss-up. Didn't quite know what tyres to go on. Despite the storm, intermediate tyres have been the ones. And Jones making a pass on Rambo, and Dropex as well up the inside. And the Haas down to 14th now. Really should have boxed a couple laps ago when everyone else had boxed and it was clear the Inters were better. As now we ride here with Daniel, who is right with Edward Isham. Bradley as well doing a great job for Williams. Daniel with a great race so far after picking the right strategy, making his way up the order with the pit stops and also just taking advantage of chaos and making his way through. Bit of action down in the turn 1, Robin and Dominkovsky side by side. Robin, who did start on the wet tyres, makes his way past the Racing Bulls. Daniel with a purple sector 1 in chasing Edward Isham. Nisev as well, this time trying to go up the inside of Wave. Can't quite pull alongside the mirror of the Mercedes. There's a late send opportunity and getting a bit out of shape on the exit as well. Trying to hunt down the Mercedes. And goes into the gravel there as well in battle. This seems to be a nice little train at the moment. 3 midfield teams. Aston Martin, of course, having a good season so far, but 3 teams here. A bit of Edwards getting a bit out of shape. That could allow Daniel to gain, but 3 teams really happy with the current position they're in. They don't want to give up too much time to the cars behind, so they shouldn't really go into battle, you'd think. But Daniel might be sizing it up now. Gets a good run through Blanchimont, and the outside line is open because Edward has defended. And now Daniel will have to cut back again, gets his momentum a bit ruined by running into the back of the Aston Martin. And Bradley's still close behind. Is there a send into turn 1? No, there's not. As Wave and Evans swap over, I think. Maybe Wave has actually lost a couple of positions. Not entirely sure what went on, but now running behind Bryn Evans and Nisev. I've checked Malachi. He's running in AI mode. There we go. I've checked it for a second. I know he's in AI. I can see it says he's in AI. As Daniel's going to go around the outside of Isham. And there's a little bit more contact. As Bradley actually goes into the gravel a bit. And this is actually Evans side by side. The former top 2 in the race. Now battling for 6th and 7th place. As Evans goes through, as Nisev goes a bit into the gravel. And Evans really finding it at home in these conditions. Moving forward ahead of the pole sitter. And down the inside goes Bradley into the Fania chicane. Bradley given a bit of space by Daniel, but then kind of runs into the side of the Haas and has to back out of it. But the battle rages again. And Daniel is gaining. He's going to pull wheel to wheel. He's going to be ahead going into Blanchimont. ERS levels. Isham's coming back now around the outside. Has to swap back. And now we'll have the outside going into the bus stop chicane. Still trying to keep it side by side, but he's being passed by Daniel, but might cut back through the bus stop onto the main straight. And is going to be gaining on the Haas. Bradley's looking to get involved, as Isham's going to send one up the inside. And they don't make contact. Couldn't quite brake late enough to get back ahead. But Daniel doing a great job now, running in third for the Haas team, as Parker extends his advantage out in front. Remember, Parker started all the way down in 8th and now leads the Grand Prix on lap 8. And Daniel is far enough ahead to gain the place. Nisev did get back past Evans, but Evans is coming back into the Lecomte chicane, holding it side by side, using the curves in these wet conditions, but can't really take the Red Bull. But still looking racy out there, that is for sure. Getting close to the Red Bull again. Beatnik holding on against Robin. Doing a great job so far, but this is going to be like this for the whole race, I think. Bradley has a little bit of a go at Isham, and that's cost Isham a bit of time. To Daniel making a break. Parker setting purple sector lap and lap and lap. Every single lap, purple sector is being displayed by the McLaren. And, well, he's extended his advantage by quite a lot over Dylan. And really showing pace now. Of course, yeah, in Season 5, drove for McLaren towards the end of the season and very much helped in Malachi's championship back then. But Malachi running in 18th in the race in AI mode. Apparently having to go to the hospital for something, according to what I read in the chat. So I guess best wishes to him. But back out on track, Robin's still trying to hunt down Beatnik. Gonna need to pull a bit of a surprise move maybe to unsettle the kick Sauber, but we know the straight line speed's there for Robin. We also know though Beatnik has been rapid on the straights so far in this race. That is not the gap we want to be seeing. It's the gap between Beatnik and Robin. And Robin is closing in to within 0.2, within 1/10, side by side going into the Lecomte chicane, and is ahead of the kick Sauber at the braking zone. And now Beatnik down into 10th, and now it's got Aidan Jones, who qualified all the way up on the second row in third, to contend with, so that's not going to be ideal for Beatnik. And then Simon as well, a little bit further back, will be looking to challenge, I'm sure. He pitted a bit later, of course, or he pitted in general. Jones obviously pitted a little bit. Jones started on wets, pitted to inters, but Simon pitted even later to go to inters, so did lose a bit more time. Alex Mills here has got some damage about the diffuser or something of that sort, so that will not be ideal for Alex Mills. These are the one stop for the inters. I mean, they're definitely going to need to pit again at this current rate. So, yeah, Dylan is in actually. So it depends. Maybe some of those who pitted from wets to inters won't have to go in again, but at the same time, if you're on very used inters, they're not going to be ideal, especially if it keeps being wet. And Bradley here, very close to Edward Isham. Daniels pulled away very impressively in the Haas, and Parker looking to be the next one to pass Edward Isham. We know Bradley's been quick on the straights, but is it quick enough. Edward knows to hug the inside, not give Bradley the chance, but he was too far behind anyway, the Williams, to make a move. And Jones actually does get past Beatnik, and actually Dropbox as well, looking to get past, maybe looking to get past Jones at the same time. Trying to take the outside line and then cut back. Beatnik now down to 12th. Still in the train though, but not ideal. Or Kick Sauber, who are running in the points. But it's so difficult to hang on when there's quicker drivers out of position. Well, not necessarily quicker drivers, but quicker cars out of position looking to get back through. Bradley oh so close to Edward Isham. Maybe taps the back there of the Aston Martin. Definitely gets a bit out of shape. Trying to use this dry line that we can now see on the racetrack. And well, it is drying out eventually, but I think it might be a bit too late. It dries out. It'll be inters for sure. Oh, Bradley goes over the track limits there. Not seen track limits yet, apart from Adam. Did he have actual... Yeah, he did have 3 warnings. Beatnik on 2. And into the box here goes Bradley. Avoids hitting the pit wall. As Dolinkowski's retired, we have a safety car being brought out. The safety car's been brought out about the Purple Frere. And well, that changes everything now. Bradley, who just pitted, is going to maybe lose a little bit of time because half of his pit stop wasn't under the safety car. And well, that kind of means that everyone's just going to pit now and then go to the end, and the strategy is kind of nullified, I guess. And well, yeah, Daniel as well, who is just pitted, but yeah, I think, yeah, Edwards, as Andre says, this has been an unlucky moment because safety cars come out and, well, he stayed out. But yeah, I think he gets a bit out of shape there as well. He's okay. I don't know. This was side by side between Evans and Nisev. That was earlier on in the race. There wasn't anything of the actual safety car incident. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure of the track position of some of them, but yeah, Edwards not boxing. Maybe not having the chance to box though. And Mills is going for the slicks. He's going for the slicks. Dropbox is going for the wets. So, not quite sure what they're seeing on the weather radar to suggest this is like it was Pierre Gasly in Germany in 2018, I want to say, just randomly appeared with wets out on the track. Maybe just, I don't know, go out on the wets and go for an inters on the next stop or what? Anyway, double Racing Bull's retirement. But yeah, I don't see why he's on the wets unless the game just kind of forced him onto it. I can see Mills just going on the slicks for a bit of a laugh, to be honest. Especially if he's got diffuser damage. And we can see Ghosts is right behind him, and well, Mills is keeping it on the island, but surely Edward in. Because even though he's going to lose so many positions, you've got to box. Otherwise, he's going to have to box under full racing conditions later on. So Edward in. And also Dropbox in to actually go on to inters. But Alex Mills staying out on the slicks. And then, oof, almost crashes into the pit wall. Yeah, we see the pit stops going on. It's Alex Mills. Here he is. Loses traction and narrowly escapes. Yeah, so slick tyres going on for a few other drivers, as Piggy says. Are the slicks going to be right? I mean, we can still see rain streaming down here. We can see the rain falling still. It's not like it's dry, but there is a bit of a dry line, I guess. But it's not fully dry. It's just where there's less water, really. So, lap 12 of 22 at Spa. And Ruben Parker leads from Dylan. Parker had been building up a nice gap before the safety car had been brought out because Leninkovsky crashed. I believe he wasn't near anyone on the track, so you might have to have a little look into that just to check how it was actually brought out, just to confirm. But anyway, safety car's going to be out there for a bit longer. At probably the end of the next lap it'll come in because, well, people are still very far behind. See the Aston Martin safety car, but Mylander leading the pack. And Malachi's car still just kind of eating around by himself. It's the tyre wear. Bryn Evans still out on the tyres he had before. Dropex and Ghosts back into the box. Intermediate tyres for Dropex. What about Ghosts? It really enters as well. You've got to imagine, and yeah, there we are. You can see the Pirelli intermediate compounds going on. And Malachi's car going by, but yeah, Malachi's car's still behind everyone else. They're not going to get in anyone's way, at least for them. I'm not quite seeing what they're seeing with the slick tyres, apart from having a bit of a laugh. Especially Simon. I mean, he's in a quick Red Bull, and you can see it's still raining. Mills has got diffuser damage from before, according to that. If you look just above where the rear wing is, you can see yellow there. Won't be helping, but you can still drive a car with that. Just might be a bit all over the place. Rear downforce, of course. But apparently Martin knows what they're doing, so let's see the words of wisdom from the Division 3 commentator. As James decides to call a red flag. You better get rid of that. You need to do remove red flag. Remove red flag. Alright, it should be gone. The safe car ending overwrites it anyway, but... See, this is... He asked me for a very long time, why is he not a mod in the chat? I said, because you can call a red flag. And as soon as he's a mod, you know what he does? He calls a red flag. Anyway, safety car's going in. Bryn Evans is one to watch on the used tyres, as Parker is leading them away and out of the bus stop. And here we go, back racing at Spa. And everyone kind of keeping it clean for the moment. Bryn Evans, a bit of a rear lock. A bit all over the road. But he's maintaining third position. Further back, it's close between Nisev and Isham Mills, dropping down the order already on the slick compound. And there we go. Evans maintaining his position. And the train, okay for now. Contact there between Isham and Nisev. Nisev compromised. Wave trying to dive down the inside. Nisev covers that off smartly to avoid losing another position. As the Mercedes was potentially going to dive down the inside, but still under threat as Isham goes into the gravel. And then Nisev tries to go around the outside, bit of contact with Isham, and the pole sitter wide at Pouon. As Bradley is going to try and hold it on the inside of Daniel. The train from earlier on in the race, getting back together. Evans, though, now the Aston Martin ahead of them. And now we have Wave trying to go the long way round on Edward Isham. As I think Robin as well challenging Bradley. As Wave side by side with the Aston Martin. I think is going to get it done. Into the bus stop, Robin getting past Bradley. As, oh, in the background, it's Wave and Isham taking each other off. As back down the inside goes Bradley. Makes contact into La Source. Robin's going to get the traction. But it's all chaos now on lap 2 after the restart. And side by side through Eau Rouge to the top of Radion. Robin maintaining the place for the time being. Bradley's going to try and go around the outside. There's contact between Bradley and Robin. And that's brought out a safety car once again on lap 15. As we see the Williams car stricken on the Kemmel Straight. And another safety car. Let's see the replay. We saw Bradley trying to sneak through, and on the straight there, contact with the Ferrari of Robin. Robin with a bit of front wing damage, but still going. Bradley, though, out of the race. And yes, Williams very much in the mud with a DSQ already going to be confirmed, and now a DNF as well. So another safety car, another restart to deal with. That will be helping Bryn Evans a bit, I think. Just because got less laps to defend with his older tyres. And there's the damage for Robin. Very minor damage. Especially compared to what happened with Bradley, obviously. With enough damage to retire. And we'll guess, let's see that again, because well, there's not a lot else to look at. It's just behind the trees that they really locked on, but wow, it's a dangerous position to be. Oh, the Alpine almost runs in there, but I mean, it might have been ghosted, might have not. Anyway, a couple pitting here. Actually, Bryn Evans is actually going for the box. He's going for the slicks now. Oh, here we go. Bryn Evans is going for it. Maybe it is ready, but I don't know if it is. I really don't know how the tyres are faring. I mean, I guess Mills isn't... like, he's not sliding off the road, but... no. I mean, the track looks a bit more damp than it did before, like the dry line that was there, kind of gone. And Evans, I mean, you can see that dry line there still a little bit, but it doesn't look as pronounced as it did. And Evans going into the gravel isn't going to do his confidence any good. The safety car might be in at the end of this lap, or maybe wait another lap. I mean, Ghost is still catching the back of the train, but surely he's there, but maybe too late. I mean, he's not particularly like gunning to get on with it. Obviously trying to wait till these dry tyres are working. And yeah, I think we have a whole nother lap of safety car unless it gets called in incredibly late. That's not going to happen because Spa, yeah, they get released way before this. So another lap of safety car to, I don't know. Look at the weather forecast. I mean, considering how long a lap at Spa is, you know, we'll get, you know, at least another 10 minutes or more in the race. It is, like, the colour of the track definitely looks that it's drier. Maybe just the whole track in general is drying a little bit. You can still see that line there, but the rain's still falling, so... Bryn Evans trying to work a bit of temperature into his tyres as well. If he can get the slicks heated up. Oh, contact under the safety car. As Bryn Evans runs in the back of Wave. And he's got a 10-second penalty for that. He's trying to get their tyres warmed and just storms into the back of the Mercedes. See a replay here. Here we go. Bunch is up ahead, can't get it slowed, and contact. A 10-second penalty to boot. Ed Jones now has an opportunity, I guess. But he's on the slicks as well. If he can get his tyres up, he'll be the lead slick runner. You can get past Evans. Evans won't be a factor in the final race results with the 10 seconds. Because you can't, that's not going to be removed because he's just rammed into the back under the safety car. I guess. Yeah, that's just the tyres as well. Just you couldn't stop in time. Caught by surprise. And now surely the safety car's got to be coming in. Malachi's car's getting involved. People aren't going to be happy with that because, well, Malachi's car will be slow to react on the safety car restart. And now, let's see when Parker pulls the trigger. Safety car peeling back to the pit lane. Here we go. Going to be out of the bus stop chicane. And we go back to racing speed here at the circuit Spa-Francorchamps. And, well, top 5, top 6 seem to be okay. But Dropperk's being challenged by Edward Isham down towards La Source. And they're going to be side by side. Not quite. As Isham backs out of it, but then gets a lovely run up to the top of Radion. And he's going to be close. Nisev is well gaining on Beatnik. Nisev's got ahead. What about the battle between the Aston Martin and Alpine? Edward Isham up the inside. Tries to hold it. Still trying to be side by side through Malmedy. And Dropex does really well to defend. As Daniel was actually challenging Dylan, it seems. Getting quite close. Dylan dropping back from Ruben Parker, who's certainly showing great pace in this race. Compared to qualifying, absolutely. Definitely going the right way on setup in terms of the weather conditions. Beatnik picking up a 3 seconds. That could be costly. Currently running in 6th. And that will drop him down to ninth at the moment. I think Bryn Evans dropping back on the slicks. All the slick runners not finding the pace on this restart. So the 9 intermediate runners running away with it as it stands. But there's still time for the track to dry out. A long lap here at Spa. And we're not done just yet. Daniel not close enough to Dylan to make a challenge, but he's really happy running in the current position he is. Edward Isham seems very confident to try a late braking move. And actually, it's into the pits for Robin. Robin for Ferrari is going for the medium compound. Interesting. From a point scoring position to now falling out of the points. And well, final sector times, Evans about half a second slower than Isham in the final sector. So it is getting dry. You can see the track surface definitely looks certainly dry, and it's stopped raining now as well. It has stopped raining here at Spa. So those slick runners could yet come into play. Of course, Bryn Evans to lead one of those, and currently is 9.8 seconds behind Ruben Parker. But obviously has a 10-second penalty. So Alex Mills could very much still be in this at the end. All of these drivers on slicks, because it is certainly looking like getting towards slick conditions, contact, Ghosts getting involved. Bit of contact with Simon there we saw at the end, but maybe having a bit more contact as well, maybe with Alex Mills. Rambo also getting through. And that was not ideal at all. We'll just quickly see this. Oh, and damage for Ghosts. But now it's interesting, because even if the slicks are quicker, do you want to box? Do you want to stay out and try and risk it on the intermediate tyres? We saw in Division 2 in Silverstone how the slicks weren't quite there. Robin has actually retired there. I think he just retired on track. We saw how the slicks just didn't quite get there with the inters, and you were able to hang on. And well, it's only a few laps to go, but a long few laps. And how are the lap times looking? It seems that Evans on a 54.2, Isham's on a 53.5, so not gaining quite still. Rambo ahead of Mills, but Mills now not quite sure. I don't think DRS has been activated yet. I might have missed that if it has. Going into the DRS zone, yep, no DRS currently active, so we'll have to do this with pure slipstream, and there's not a lot of slipstream in this game, and he doesn't have any ERS either, but he's going to send it round the outside. Bit of contact with the house, a lot of contact, and then rejoins, and there's more contact, and then Rambo spins because of that contact, and Simon gets through it, and Simon goes into the wall as well. I think manages to keep it out actually, but definitely goes into the grass and gravel. And then round the outside goes Rambo again, immediately back involved in action. Simon on the hard compound, Rambo sliding his way round. And, well, a lot of contact with Alex Mills there at the Lecomte chicane. Nisev now actually gaining. We'll just quickly see a little bit of contact again. Yeah, Simon kind of just lost it by himself there. Fully lost it by himself, I think. Ran a little bit wide, and yeah, didn't have the grip. Hard tyres not really working, I guess, in these conditions. Also, just he's not really been too great throughout this race, especially where he qualified. Qualifying all the way up in 4th, and now dropping down to 13th place. We have 2 laps to go now, and Ruben Parker has pulled out the gap. I think slick tyres have now crossed over and are now the quicker compound, but only about a second a lap at the moment, so intermediate's definitely the right call. And here we go, actually, Beatnik, and Isham is just going to go around the outside here, but Beatnik, a little bit of contact, a little bit of wheel banging, still tries to hold it against the Aston Martin, but 7th place is still a good place for Sauber to be, and they will, yeah, definitely be keen to hold on to that ahead of those slick tyre runners. Talking of slick tyre runners, it's 3 wide almost as down the inside goes Ghosts on Alex Mills. Alex Mills leaves quite a lot of space, but then Ghost goes into the gravel and round the outside, then goes Wave, and they're lagging. One of them's going in front, one of them's going behind, and eventually it sorts itself out with Wave getting ahead of Alex Mills and doesn't have any penalties. Aidan Jones picks up another 3, but that won't be costing him any position at the moment, but it could still cost him, maybe, depending on other penalties, but we'll see, I guess. You just don't want to get a penalty and see how it works out. But, well, I mean, he has, so not really much discussion. This battle, though, is going to go on, but there's no battle for the race lead. Ruben Parker has controlled the race ever since, really getting the right strategy at the start, moving up the field. But the battle for second is very much still on. Dylan trying to hold on, but Daniel might be the one under pressure trying to hold on to a podium for Haas. Nisev is going to be gaining a lot, but doesn't really have ERS. But Daniel doesn't really have ERS either, but still has a little bit more just to boost himself forward. What about Dylan's ERS? It looks like Daniel could challenge Dylan, or maybe just trying to get close to Dylan, trying to use the slipstream, and he's ahead of Nisev still, as Parker has nearly grown to a 3-second advantage ahead. And, well, Beatnik still behind Isham. The battle for the podium, though, is going to go down to the bus stop chicane, and Nisev getting ever closer to Daniel. And now they are saving their ERS. Tyres probably overheating at this point with the current track conditions. Nisev with a lot of tyre wear, maybe looking up the inside of the Fania chicane. Contact! And Nisev holds, manages to catch the spin. Doesn't go for a full spin, but Dropbox is going to take the place, and Daniel's podium looks to be secure, as Nisev tried in an unorthodox place to make an overtake, didn't wait for the bus stop chicane, and that has cost him not only the chance at the podium, but also the position to Dropbox, which he has regained. DRS is enabled. DRS didn't matter for Ruben Parker. He's stormed his way to the front of the field and wins the Belgian Grand Prix. It's going to be Dylan in second place ahead of Daniel. Dropbox and Nisev having an almighty battle here. Dropbox has managed to get ahead as there's so much wheel spin for the Red Bull across the line. Isham moves his way back up to 6th despite having that pit stop under the saved car, which relegated him down outside the points. Jones gets ahead of Evans because Evans had that penalty. Yeah, Beatnik, brilliant points for Beatnik in 7th. Jones in 8th, Evans 9th, Wave finishing in the points, but we'll have to see what goes on with the investigation for what happened in Q3. And well, Ruben Parker with victory for McLaren, and despite no Elyas, it's still a 1-2 finish. Simon's out, but I think that's just one of those things where you leave, it says he's out. He won't be out come the end of the results, but well, it doesn't really matter. He's outside the points. There we go. We go to Zandvoort next week for a sprint race, I believe. So, those are the results. A lot of shake-up in the order from what happened in qualifying.